Good morning, everyone. I'm really delighted that we've been asked to come back and show you what we're doing in IBM with Cloud Foundry and Kubernetes. As you probably are aware, we've demoed several times at the summits here what we've been doing with bringing Cloud Foundry and Kubernetes together. And at IBM, it's really important. We have strong conviction that the Cloud Foundry experience is very valuable to our enterprise clients, and Kubernetes becoming the container orchestration platform, somewhat ubiquitous here. So when I first joined this foundation, when I first became a member here, there was a lot of discussion of Cloud Foundry versus Kubernetes. And again, at IBM, we feel it's Cloud Foundry and Kubernetes. And how do we continue to bring these experiences together? And part of what makes that possible for us is the Irene project that we've been leading in conjunction with our colleagues from SAP, SUSE, and Pivotal. And Irene has let us, really enabled us to bring Kubernetes to Cloud Foundry. So initially, we talked about Cloud Foundry on top of Kubernetes. We are now bringing Kubernetes to Cloud Foundry. And so you may have also heard we've acquired Red Hat and Red Hat's OpenShift platform, which again is another Kubernetes platform. So we wanted to do an experiment with the Irene project and our Cloud Foundry Enterprise Edition, what that might look like on OpenShift and how quickly we could make that happen. And again, thanks to the community contributions here, that went very smoothly. So I'm going to let my colleague and our chief architect for all of our Cloud Foundry services on the IBM Cloud show you what that looks like. Simon?
Thank you. So good morning, everybody. My name's Simon, and as Tammy just said, we recently acquired this company called Red Hat, and they have this great container runtime called OpenShift. And one of the things that we thought doing is, hey, why can't we just experiment with, can we put a Cloud Foundry on top of OpenShift and see whether we can merge the developer experiences and that sort of thing. So it's kind of like a technology experiment that I think I'm going to show to you. So what you're seeing here back here on the screen is the dashboard of the IBM Cloud, right? And when I go here, I can actually go and I have an OpenShift, a new OpenShift service, right? There, basically, I can go and can create an OpenShift cluster and that sort of stuff. And luckily, because of you, I actually created one, which is called Simon's OpenShift for CF Summit Cluster. And it actually has a web console that I can now kick off. And this web console will then bring up this screen here. This screen here where you get a catalog and a set of projects. And everybody who has been dealing with OpenShift before has probably seen this before. So what I'm now going to do is I installed a containerized Cloud Foundry distribution on top of that we now have. And so in this particular case, I'm going to give a big shout out to, our friends in SAP and SUSE who has been collaborating with us on the Irene and the SCF projects. So I'm going to log into this cluster, and you can see that this is a really cool native experience, so I can see all the namespaces that I have. I'm going to talk about that in a second. So the next thing that I'm doing is I'm actually going to just do a regular CF login command. I'm going to pick my org in space, right? I'm going to show that I have no apps running on this system whatsoever. And I am sitting here in a Git repository that I cloned for an application called a storefront. And the next thing that I'm just going to do is I am going to push this application like any other Cloud Foundry application. So while this is taking place, let me quickly show you a little bit about the applications that I'm having. So if you look into this CF folder here, you actually see that this is a fully CF running inside of a Cloud Foundry namespace, right? So you have all the components that you all know about, so Dopplers and Irene and Locket and Cache Scheduler and whatever else, right? And I have this second namespace here, which is called Irene. And in this Irene namespace, in a second, so once the staging here is done, we will actually see that there is a container coming up that is now created through the Cloud Foundry experience, right? Now you can see it here. Through the Cloud Foundry experience, and you can manage it as any other OpenShift container that has been created by Elsewise. Watch out to this circle on the right. So this will eventually turn like light blue and dark blue in any second, if everything goes fine. Well, we have the light blue. That means the staging is done and it's registered now to the OpenShift secure container runtime. It is dark blue, and if I go back here, surprise, we actually have an application running, and I can go to my browser, of course, and pull it up, and we have a container created by Cloud Foundry running on the OpenShift container platform. Now, that in itself is, I think, already great because it shows that we can bring the two technologies together. But I would like to do a little bit more and actually show how further the integration can go. So this application is a storefront, and as you can actually see here, my store doesn't actually sell any products, so it's kind of useless. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this, I have a backend application, and this is an application that I previously pushed just by using kube control and OpenShift native mechanisms. And I scaled it down to 0 in this particular case. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to set it and scale it back to 1 in order to allow a connection between the backend and the front end so that my store actually shows something. And now, of course, what I need to do finally in this particular case is I need to establish a connection, right, between the two. And I'm going to do that by setting a CF environment variable, like I've been doing this a couple of times, right? And I'm going to just restage my app. Whoops. What did I do? Oh, typo. Just restaging my application to set the connection between my front-end app and my back-end app. So again, that's going to take a little while until we get there. But then once we have this, so let me go back to my Irene namespace here. So as you can see, as everybody knows, when restaging a Cloud Foundry application, your application actually goes down. I only had one instance, so I don't have a container anymore yet. But as we now jointly watch the screen, it'll eventually come up. So the droplet has been created, so it should be any second now. Here we go, right? So we have our OpenShift front-end application again, and it has this environment variable that I was about to, that I set is actually there. So we now have to wait until it actually turns, again, light blue and dark blue. So here we go, light blue and dark blue. And if I now refresh this page, what I'm expecting to see is, because we're in the Netherlands, so of course we're selling cheese. And we're selling a lot of, funny cheese. So with that, I think this concludes kind of like the demo, because there is actually this Chip Childress Cacio Baraccato that I really want to try next, and that's what I'm going to do after I finish up this talk. I think the takeaway message for you as the audience for this talk is we can bring Cloud Foundry and OpenShift together, combine the user experiences, combine the container runtimes here with the technology that this community has been working on together, and we should continue doing so. Thank you very much.